Hey everybody, Jeff Joyner here from An Epic Life. Sharing videos to try to help you have a more abundant, more victorious, happier life. If you like these videos, make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever a new video comes out. Today I want to tell you the story about the time that I was briefly the subject of a murder investigation. That's a bit of a stretch. But I had an incident where the police thought that something horrible had happened to me. And it's really an unusual set of circumstances. But I think there's a lesson in there too. And so this happened in Wisconsin, actually. You may know my son is a roller coaster enthusiast, and we've traveled all around the world riding roller coasters and going to theme parks. And one of the parks we went to that's kind of a smaller park and kind of off the beaten path is in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. There's a park called Mount Olympus. And so we went there to check it out. It's famous for having some kind of rickety old wooden coasters. And so we went out there. The people actually invited us to come and gave us some free tickets to enjoy their rides in exchange for Logan making a YouTube video about the park, which was kind of cool. And so we're riding all the coasters, and they have one coaster in particular that's kind of world famous for being kind of extreme, kind of intense. It's called Hades 360. It's made by a company called the Gravity Group, which is actually some super nice guys that have been really cool to my son. And they make awesome wooden roller coasters, and they install them all around the world. Well, they made this coaster. It's famous for being super fast, super intense. It's got an enormous tunnel that goes underground, under the whole parking lot, and like pops up on the other side, and and then back down the tunnel and back the way it came. Really awesome coaster. I was, I don't always like the ones that are like super intense. This one was right on the edge of what I enjoy. And so rode the coaster, was holding on for dear life. We had a great time, came into the station. I mean, it does throw you around aggressively. Very aggressively, as far as I'm concerned. Some people may dispute that, but quite aggressive for me. And so we get off the ride, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. And my son and his friends are going to ride again, and I was going to film them, and pull my phone out, and I look at my phone, and there's like 5 missed calls from a number there, like area code 608. Baraboo, Wisconsin. And I'm like, who's calling me over and over again from this area? You know what? I wonder if it's like the owners and managers of this park, and maybe they want to do an interview with Logan. So I call back the number, and someone answers it and says, Sauk County Sheriff's Office. And I'm like, the Sheriff's Office? I go, I missed a bunch of calls from this number. And they go, oh my gosh, are you okay? Sir, are you okay? I'm like, well, yeah. Are you sure you're okay? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm okay. What's going on? And they said, we received a 911 call from your number. And we're like, 911, what's the emergency? And all we heard was people screaming. Someone screaming, bloody murder. And it was very concerning. And we called back, and there was no answer. And we called back, and there was no answer. And so we were just getting ready to roll with police and EMS and the fire truck to your GPS location to respond to what sounded like somebody being murdered. I said, I wasn't being murdered. I was riding a roller coaster. I said, my phone must have thought I was being murdered or something. Since then I found out that if you press on an iPhone, if you press the power button rapidly 5 times in a row, your phone calls 911. And so I recommend you don't do that. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I there's no emergency. I was just riding an aggressive roller coaster. And I said, this must happen to you all the time. And she's like, oh, that's the first time I've heard of it. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. So that's the story of the time that my phone thought I was being murdered and called the police. And the lesson in there, if there is one, is that, if you work for, emergency responders, you have to assume there's an emergency, right? When a situation like that, and you got to roll the vehicles and you got to check. But most people in their lives, I think, jump to emergency mode a little prematurely, right? Some people I know just kind of go from one emergency to the next to the next. Their whole life is a series of what appears to be emergencies. And you know what I've learned hanging around with some extremely successful people? the most successful people I know, the happiest people I know, they don't have a lot of emergencies in their life. Even when something happens that would be really, really concerned, other people might call it an emergency. They're like, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay, right? We're gonna handle this appropriately. If it's a medical situation, we're gonna seek out the proper care. If it's a business situation, we're gonna get all the information before we make a decision. But the happiest, most well-adjusted, most successful people I know, they just kind of level, right? They don't have the ups and the downs that most people have. They just kind of level. They've just learned to handle things with maturity and with peace, and that's something I aspire to, because my nature is a little bit, to be overly concerned about things. And so that's the lesson of this video, and my advice to you is, try if you can in your life to not get too worked up about situations, right? Usually what seems like an emergency, might just be a miscommunication, might just be something that's going to blow over pretty quick. And because always having emergencies in your life is going to cause stress on your body, stress in your life, and it's hard to live an epic life when you're stressed all the time.